You know, there are, John Wayne was a performer. You know, there are some people who just, you know, they're always themselves in every role, and Leonardo DiCaprio is able to just become anybody. He is a true actor, a true genius. Anyway, the movie is Inception, and the movie has to do with dreaming. And back in the 70s, there was a book by a fellow by the name, if my memory serves me right, of Stephen Lafarge, and there was a B in his name somehow, and I'm sure that Sue and the folks in the chat room can track it down now. Stephen Lafarge or something like that. And the title of the book was Lucid Dreaming. And it may even still be in print, I don't know. But back in the 70s, I was fascinated by this, and I actually took a course. Stephen was going around the country teaching this stuff, and he had people that he had trained, and then, you know, one of them came to Lansing, Michigan, and I took a course in lucid dreaming. And lucid dreaming is, in essence, where you teach yourself how to wake up in the middle of a dream but still stay asleep and take control of the dream. And anybody can learn how to do this. Sean says it's L-A-B-E-R-G-E. Stephen, S-T-E-P-H-E-N, L-A-B-E-R-G-E. Thank you very much. And anyhow, he's the guy who popularized this notion. And here, there's several different techniques for doing it. And the one that I learned and that I used, I actually used this, and it is, when you develop habits in your normal life, those habits carry over into your dreams, but they have to be real habits. So you have to create a habit that will cause you to realize in the dream world that you're in the dream world. And the one that Stephen Lafarge was recommending at the time was, you look at a sign or anything that has writing on it. It could be a newspaper headline, it could be a store sign, a street sign, whatever. You look at something, you read it. You know, I'm looking at this camera and it says Liebeck on the what do you call it, the tripod. I look away, I look back, it still says L-I-B-E-C. So I know that I'm awake because it still says Liebeck. Now, if I was in a dream and I looked at it and said Liebeck, I look away and I look back at it, it may say Johnson, or it may say whoop-de-doop, or it may turn into something else. And then I know I'm in a dream. And you have to do this 10 to 30 times a day intentionally for about 2 or 3 weeks. So 10 to 30 times a day, every day for 2 to 3 weeks, you look around, oh, there's a sign that says Portland's Progressive. I look away, I look back, it still says Portland's Progressive Talk Station. And if you just make this a habit, then what will happen is, in one of your dreams, you will notice yourself looking at a sign, you'll look away, you'll look back at it, and you'll notice that it's changed, and you will say to yourself, oh my God, I'm in a dream. And I remember really clearly the first time I did it, I was looking at a movie theater, and it was the marquee, and it was a porno movie. In fact, it says something about my unconscious mind, I suppose. And I looked away, and I looked back, and it had turned into like a football game. And I immediately thought, that's odd, that's completely different, and oh, I'm in a dream. And then I thought, let me see how this works. Am I really in a dream? And I put my hands up in the air in my dream, and I said, let's see if I can fly like Superman. And boom, I took off. And I flew around the city, and it was just, you know, that's the part of the dream that I remember really vividly. The other thing that I remember, and the reason why I haven't stopped lucid dreaming, because I still do it from time to time, but I stopped the exercise of, you know, teaching myself how to do it continually, is that my superego in my dreams was even more powerful, my conscience, than it is in my waking state. So, you know, the girl that I really fantasized about having sex with, for example, I couldn't make myself do it in the dream even. You know, it just, my unconscious mind wouldn't let me let it happen, because, you know, I'm a married guy. And it's like, you know, geez, can't even do it in your dreams. So, or whatever, you know, I mean, I'm probably revealing more than I should, but in any case, there's been a debate for the 30 years since Stephen Lafarge, however you say it, popularized this, about whether this could cause mental illness or whether it could be used to cure mental illness, in fact. And some fascinating stuff. Science Daily, your source for latest research news. This just Dateline July 29. Similarities in brain activity during lucid dreaming and psychosis suggest that dream therapy could be useful in psychiatric patients, according to the European Science Foundation. Lucid dreaming, when you are aware that you are dreaming, is a hybrid state between dreaming and being awake. It creates distinct patterns of electrical activity in the brain that have similarities to the pattern made by psychotic conditions such as schizophrenia. Meanwhile, the previous discredited, that was the other reason why I pretty much stopped doing it. It wasn't that it had nothing to do with sex, frankly. It had to do with, this is just too much work. And, but also, I was concerned, maybe this isn't good for me. Because there's all this research on the importance of REM sleep and how when you're REM sleeping, when you're dreaming, that's the unconscious's way of processing the events of the day and dumping them through the hypothalamus into the brain and deciding what's important and what isn't important. And so anyway, meanwhile, the previously discredited idea of treating some conditions with dream therapy has attracted interest from clinicians. Then the Washington Post just did a piece that's triggered by Inception, DiCaprio's movie Inception. And it talks about how keen video gamers, probably because they focus on a single task for hours a day, are particularly good at lucid dreaming. And then this is from the New York Times, Guiding Your Sleep When You're Awake by Sarah Crenshaw. This was in July of this week, using dream incubation for problem solving. And this is about writing down a problem before you go to sleep and then just telling your unconscious mind to work on this problem. I've been doing that since I was a teenager, and it works spectacularly well. And then finally, the most important thing that Leonardo DiCaprio says in this movie Inception, which is so true, and it's true of politics, is the most resilient parasite in the world. It's not a virus, it's not a bacteria, it's not a worm. The most resilient parasite in the world is an idea implanted in the unconscious mind. So, anyhow, I promised I would share that with you. I have. Now let's get back to politics or whatever. Debbie, in Princeton, New Jersey. Hey, Debbie, welcome to the program.